One of the highlights of the Full Send Sims Esports iRacing Spec Miata series is the marvelous variety of its tracks. Classic example, last Tuesday night we were at a track legendary for its complete lack of elevation but massive bumps. Yet tonight we're at an equally legendary track, one that is cool table smooth but with significant elevation change. Tonight's venue is many things, one of the longest in North America, one of the fastest on the planet, one that is perhaps the ultimate test of both ability and bravery. And for the drivers of our Spec Miatas, it is a supreme test of drafting, strategy, timing, a right proper high-speed game of chess. I'm talking about, of course, the magnificent Road America, promoted as America's National Park of Speed. Pretty accurate, to be sure. The place, to many, me included, is simply magical. Welcome to the start of the second half of our championship season. Welcome to America's Nürburgring. Hi everybody, I'm Greg Creamer along with Kyle Heyer. And Kyle, it's tough for anybody to really debate saying that Road America is special for so many different reasons.
Well, this place is so fast. You alluded to it already. It's one of America's most historic racetracks. Yeah. You know, you look at this place, they call it the National Park of Speed. I call it the Jurassic Park of motorsports. It feels like you transcend biomes from one side of the racetrack to the other. It really is a spectacular facility for racing.
It is, and there's a very specific reason that, other than just loving it, that we're running here tonight at this very specific time of year, because starting this weekend, runoffs, the SCCA runoffs began at Road America. And of course, one of the highest, biggest subscribed classes there is Spec Miata. There's quite a few Spec Miata drivers that are running at the runoffs that run with us in the championship. And as Court Schmidt from Full Send Sims has always said, yes, you can have fun racing sims, but it's also a training tool. And if you use a sim, practice makes podiums. And that's all part and parcel of it. So kind of double duty for us to be here at Road America tonight.
Yeah, 4 miles around, a lot of corners to learn here, Greg, but it's got a lot of straightaway as well. Drafting is one of the key topics. The last time we were here, 3 wide finish to the checkers. It was wild at the front, and there's a lot to learn over this track. It might look so simple, but it takes a lot to master.
Well, that's it. And, you know, parts of this track, you're always changing elevation. You know, you think about it, look at that run out of the last turn, and you've got to get that one right twice a lap, because that climb up to the start-finish line, you've got to get it right to start a fast lap, and you better get it right on the last lap coming out for a battle. Turn 1 is deceptively fast. You know, it flattens out, everything's equal up there. Turn 3, you drop into, so one of those downhill braking zones. And then, Kyle, look at that. Look at that elevation drop while you're coming from one of the fastest parts of the track and braking down into turn 5.
A great passing opportunity there. That's a trouble spot, though, on the opening lap of the race for sure. We see drivers get themselves into a pickle. The backside of the racetrack, though, up under the Corvette Bridge at turn 6 into turn 7. That whole area turns into a handling section pretty quickly. You're on the limit through there. The carousel winds you around to the kink. That corner in particular, Greg, is one everybody talks about when you come to Road America. You cannot afford to make a mistake over there, or it will end your weekend. It will next week. It will tonight.
Yeah, that's one of the gut check corners, isn't it? Where you've just got to be willing yourself sometimes to get through there. You know, but even the ones that don't look like much, turn 7, it falls away right at the apex and it's off camber. And so you've got to, even in these cars, you're working hard to keep it on the line. Fall away braking into 8. That carousel, more than 180 degrees. It's just that it's really long in how it runs. And then you've still got, though the bridge is gone at Billy Mitchell Bend, it's still that blind turn in. There's so much going on. And frankly, I think one of the trickiest corners in North America is that turn 6. Doesn't get enough respect or recognition, but it's such an absolute balancing act on the brakes. Too late, you're off. Too early, you're slow.
Well, racetrack's relatively cool out there, 68 degrees Fahrenheit.
Is.
Nice fall temperatures up here in Wisconsin, 84 degrees Fahrenheit. That should be nice and grippy for us. Cars are already on track. It's a big field. I think we've got well over 30 cars here tonight, but at the point, perhaps no surprise, Morgan Burkhardt, Nicholas Rice-Sputo, and maybe surprisingly, Andrew Wozencroft, third place currently, although there's still over half the field left to put a time on the board.
Yeah, doing a really, really stellar job out there. And, you know, like I said, we've got quite a few competitors that are running here that are going to go to the runoffs in next week. And really, Saturday, Sunday is testing, then Monday is practice, then it's qualifying, and then racing Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Huge event, really, really cool, and can't wait to see how things play out. There's a look at Andrew Wozencroft, and he really is having a breakthrough season. We've talked about, some of these drivers that they just, at a certain point, find it. And Andrew has just been absolutely superb and is really getting the job done. Andrew Gilliland, another Andrew, the young guy, has been really putting together a great season as well. So lots to see. I love to see that Giancarlo Schooler's back with us. He's always quick. And of course, I think a big concern for everybody that's running for the championship is a guy named Ethan Lampe, who showed up for the first time at Sebring last Tuesday night. 2 poles, 2 wins, and sort of let the field know, hello.
Yeah, Ethan's definitely one of those drivers, and there's actually a couple drivers I wanted to point out that are here tonight, and Ethan Lampe was one of them. Of course, we got Jordan Rick-Segrini. Those two have also run in the Toyota GR Cup North America Esports League, which just had its final race last weekend. But one of the other drivers that joins us from that series is Nick Yanni, and his brother Michael Yanni was the runner-up in that championship this season. Did a phenomenal job. Nick joined it late. Already put up some pretty impressive results. Curious to see what he can do. New to the league, and he's going to get thrown right into the fire tonight at Road America. So he's got a lot of work to do. Court Schmidt, of course, in that number 33 that we always talk about. He's on track, and Camden Hibbett has yet to put a time on the board, and he's only got 5.5 minutes left to do it.
Yeah, he's got to dial it up here. Deacon Greenfield as well, who we were talking about, who's sporting a very special livery tonight. It's sort of an homage to the livery he'll have on his STL car, Super Touring White car, that he will be racing at the runoff. So really cool things unfolding here. There's a look at Camden Hibbett. Again, comes in here, obviously pretty well off in the points, but yeah, this is a track. You can do some drafting, you can work your way to the front a little bit, but nothing at this place comes easy. So, and that lead he had was halved by Morgan Burkhardt at the most recent round that Camden wasn't at. So it's down to 6 points. I mean, incredibly close right now between these two teammates.
And it's notable that we're, at round 6 of the season here, getting to the point where that's really going to start to matter. The first couple of rounds you can afford maybe make a mistake here or there, but now it's going to be game on all the way to the end of the championship as we get our way through the halfway point of the season. Still a lot of drivers that haven't put a time on the board. Everyone has only run 2 laps so far. It takes a long time to get around here, almost 3 minutes. 2 minutes 40.7 is the current provisional pole time, so you don't get a lot of opportunities here if you make a mistake in qualifying.
Well, that's a really good point. I mean, this place is such a long lap, as you said. In real-world racing, it wreaks havoc when you think about fuel economy and when you have to pit. So it always finds a way to sort of come at you. And it's also a track that's brutally hard on brakes because you are coming from absolute top speed into those really difficult, hard braking areas.
And you're going to be on the brakes a lot tonight. I mean, these cars are relatively lightweight. They don't get to crazy high speeds, but we're well into the triple digits by the end of the back straightaway into turn 5 and turn 12. And those that can really get the downshifts right, especially. I mean, the braking usually comes also with engine braking, and we've seen that go wrong for a lot of drivers at this racetrack in the past, getting that all wrong.
Yeah, it's a tricky place on a lot of different levels. And as you said in the open, it looks fairly innocuous when you look at a map. It's like, okay. But with the elevation change and with a little nuance around here, it is really a great test. And obviously, we've got that championship that we're working toward as well here. And it looks like it's Morgan Burkhardt up front by a quarter second right now over Nicholas Rice-Puto. But Andrew Wozencroft doing a great job.
Yeah, he's sticking in there in P3. Joshua Soto, Skip Brock Jr., Andrew Gilliland, 4th, 5th, and 6th, and Eric Hewo and Giancarlo Schooler. I'm a little surprised the 110 hasn't found his way up, but he is in trail of the 132 of Camden Hibbett, who still doesn't have a time on the board. This will have to be it because he won't get another revolution around this circuit, Greg, with only 2.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, it's got to be done. Let's get this, going here. And obviously, the last thing you want to have happen when you're, going after a championship and looking to repeat, I think. Obviously, you don't want to have a really bad race, qualifying effort with a massive field and have to fight your way through. So it's going to be interesting to see. Giancarlo, he hasn't been with us every race like he has in the past, but when he shows up, one thing you know about Giancarlo, well, two things. He's quick, and two, he is fearless and will stick his nose in, and that can really rattle championship contenders.
Well, at a certain point, when the championship is out of reach for drivers like Giancarlo Schooler, who are, maybe he's still in it right now, but if you look further down the lane, drivers like him can be really dangerous, not because of the points they can earn, but the points they can take away. And you've got a lot of drivers that are in that position, I think, now with Wozencroft really waking up. Got Rice-Puto up there, who's still very good, but drivers like Olivier Piatek has played that role beautifully in the past, where he can run well, maybe not always a championship contender, but he can take points away from those who badly need them.
Oh, absolutely, and look what Schooler just did. Went to second, and Camden Hibbett, boy, did he wait till the last moment to get it done, but has gone to third. So that's what he needed to do here. Rice-Puto, another former champ, sits in fourth. And then the man on the rise, Andrew Wozencroft, the always fast Josh Soto, Skip Brock. He has been really stout this year. And you can't say enough about Andrew Gillen. You think about how young the guy is and what he's been doing here this season. First podium coming earlier in the season, really dialing it up. And Eric Haywo has had a pretty good year as well. It's nice to have him up and competitive.
Ninth place right now. I just got to look at Jeremy Fletcher, who joins us from the Global Mazda MX-5 Championship as well. He just jumped up to 7th place ahead of Jordan Rick Segrini. You pointed out all the runoffs drivers as well, but just those from the Global MX-5 Championship have also graced us with their presence. Sally Mott is back here again competing, and others in this mix. So it is going to be one of the most competitive fields we've seen all season long. About 35 cars. And the last time we had a field this size at this racetrack, Greg, the racing was just so good. And this place, I love it through and through. It just really is a spectacular facility.
It is. I mean, that America's National Park of Speed, which is their slogan, but as I said, look at it. It really feels like you're in a park setting with a great racetrack just running right through the middle of it. And, it's literally carved out of the same terrain that are the local roads, which is, what it was born out of when they used to race on the public roads around Elkhart Lake. And then that got too dangerous and they built this track. And it's, the Kettle Moraine Forest, and all these hills were carved by glaciers eons ago, the moraines that were left, and it just climbs up and down and around, and it is absolutely special. I also wanted to give a shout out to Jose de las Casas, who I think he qualified 23rd here. And of course, Jose, one of the 3 owners of FARA, who has come on board as one of our sponsors for the Full Send Sims Esports iRacing Championship. And Jose, last weekend, FARA held a big event at Sebring. And man, did it come off well. It was hot, as you would imagine, this time of year at Sebring. But everybody reporting from, the competitors said it was absolutely fabulous. A lot of newcomers showed up and absolutely loved it. And they are looking to do some really spectacular things next year. So just a big thank you to FARA for coming on board. And, their season finale is early November down at Homestead. You can get there, do it. It'll be worth it for sure. Also got to say a huge thanks, as always, to the folks from 3P Logistics, Frank Rodriguez. They've been with us since the very beginning, and they have full logistical support for you, your family, your race car, whatever you need. They'll take care of you, as will Final Turn Motorsports, who at the runoffs often sort of work hand in hand with 3P. They work together and providing opportunities for some of the racers that are going to be there. And they're a front-running chassis builder, partnered with the best engine builders in the class, driver development from licensing all the way to pro-level racing. And, of course, Wine Country Motorsports, the racer's resource for helmets, suits, gloves, shoes, seats, harnesses for over 30 years. And wanted to mention real quick here, I think we have a little time, as we're now in the second half of the season. Obviously, top 3 in the points are going to get prizes. The top 3 eligible in the points, and if you're an administrator for the series, if you're an instructor, or if you've won a hardware prize in the previous or in the current year, you're not eligible. So those that that do get a shot, This is some pretty trick stuff. I mean, first place, the Simagic Alpha Mini GT1 wheel. Second place, the Simagic DS 8X shifter. In third place, the Stream Deck Plus unit. So some great hardware, once again, that Full Send Sims and its partners are providing.
Yeah, unbelievable. It's a great partnership here with Full Send Sims, and they do a great job to give everybody the opportunity to win some prizes, earn a bunch of points, and have some fun along with their competitors here. Greg, let's roll through the starting lineup for this one, and it's Morgan Burkhardt on the front row, Giancarlo Schooler in that 110 on the front row of this series.
Yeah, normally they're actually they're teammates as well. So that top three on the grid right now, I think, are all teammates. Camden Hibbett, your point leader, by a scant margin of 6, starts inside row 2, and then Nicholas Rice-Puto alongside former champ as well.
In row number 3, it's Andrew Wozencroft in 5th place in the number 80. Strong qualifying effort there. Josh Soto, 6th in the number 77.
Starting 7th, Jeremy Fletcher. Nice to have him with us and showing some real speed in the number 69, not a surprise. And Jordan Rixagrini in the 108, 8th.
9th place, Skip Brock Jr. the number 32. Andrew Gilliland, the youngster, rolls off 10th, carrying some momentum from recent weeks. He'll start in 10th in that number 91.
Starting in the 16th or 11th spot, number 16, Eric Haywo, we talked about, looking very good. Ethan Lampy coming off of a double pole, double win sweep last night, I should say. Let me try that again. Last Tuesday at Sebring. And then you've got in the 13th spot, Olivier Piatek, and in 14th spot, Beans Forrester.
And behind them in 15th and 16th is Tucker Salyer in the number 173. Nick Yanni rolls off 16th in the number 28 machine.
And starting 17th, the number 89 of Jim Friedhofer, and in 18th, the number 6, Elliot Burton.
And in the 960 car, starting 19th, Bob Moeller Jr. Sally Mott rolls off 20th in the number 950.
Starting 21st, the 042 of Seth Spolman, and starting in the 2nd spot, it's Al Ducharme in the number 70.
And then it's Jose de las Casas in 23rd in the number 717. Joshua Clatterbuck in 24th in the 101.
Then starting in the 25th spot, number 33 to man, Court Schmidt, and Andrew Goetta in the 26th spot in his number 61.
27th, Wayne Buttermore in the 73. Then Josh Beccari, 28th in the number 993 car.
Starting 29th in the 65, Hayden Manis. That's a little bit of a surprise to have him that far back. And Deacon Greenfield as well in the number 20, starting in that 30th spot with that special livery. He's got work to do.
31st place, Trace Hansen, the number 53. Noah Jackson starts 32nd in the 14 car.
Starting 33rd, the number 200 is Dylan Lee. Starting 34th in the 125, Sawyer Richards.
And rounding out the field in 35th place is Tony Shelton in the number 979. That's the 35-car field here, Greg. This is a monster lineup for this series. I cannot wait. The National Park of Speed. When you go back here into the woods and you see cars ripping by this back straightaway into Canada Corner, it is nothing short of magical. And tonight, the field lines up. 2 races, 20 minutes each, and a lot of action happens in those 20 minutes.
I mean, just look at the beauty and the size of this field here. This is going to be awesome. And once again, in terms of laps, the lap count not as long here, but with all of this, these long straights, I mean, you think about it, that run from 14 up into 1, from 3 to 5, and of course from the carousel all the way to Canada Corner, massive drafting that can be done there. So if you're maybe just off a little bit in outright top speed, if you get in the right draft, you can make things happen, Kyle.
Time to go racing, Greg. They're going to double file up the hill here, and it's a long wait to the green flag, but once it goes, no one will rest for 20 minutes time here in Wisconsin.
All right, are they going to make it through turn 1s, 2, and 3? Let's find out. Road America, here we go. We're green. We are racing, and this front straight isn't quite as wide as you think with that big wall right there. And look at this. Nice start by Rice-Puto. Actually trying to come up around the outside here. It's going to be difficult. Oh, and there's a contact. Looked like Rixagrini and Piatek getting together. Soto involved. Oh, my goodness. This one, we didn't even get to turn 1. And something went awry.
Honestly, I'm really surprised it didn't get worse than that. Fletcher's in it.
Yeah.
Hance, I think, got tagged up in it, but it could have been so much worse than it was. It is going to string the field out on the run down to turn 5. Burkhardt, Schooler, Hibbett, Rice-Puto, Wozencroft survive the turn 1 melee.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. We've talked about this a lot. since the inception of this series, and it applies to any kind of racing. When you have a struggle in qualifying and you're in a field like this of 35 cars and you're starting back between 10th and 20th, that's the danger zone. That's where so much can go wrong, and we saw it play out right here. Look at this field, and look at this, 3-4 abreast down into turn 5 mid-pack. Let's hope everybody makes it. Here's that tricky turn 6.
Yeah, the car gets light up here. I've had the pleasure of driving a Spec Miata at this racetrack, and coming up over the crest at turn 6, car gets light when you turn in. It won't do what you want it to do when it would be otherwise in a compression. So that challenge is navigated for the first time around. Burkhardt has the advantage, Schooler, Hibbett, and they are all really single file now because of that scrum on the opening few corners. That might play to their benefit, actually, to get organized.
I think so. You know, I mean, obviously, all right, let's let things settle just a little bit, and then we can get racing. The problem is when Morgan Burkhardt's out front, like he's doing a little bit here, his version of settled might be a little different than some of the others in terms of his pace, and he can run away. But let's see, you know, the guys behind him, Schooler, Hibbett, Rice Puto in that pack, if they work together well, they ought to be able to run him down, stay with him. And Andrew Wozencroft doing an absolutely fabulous job, but a great start by Tucker Salyer as well.
Yeah, great start for Salyer as he moves up into 6th place. Hewo up a couple, as you pointed out, into the run into Canada corner. Everyone lying astern here so far, behaving. A little bit of side-by-side deeper. Ethan Lampy's on the attack on Court Schmidt. Little contact there, muscles him to the left.
Yeah, just gave him the nudge. I certainly don't think it was intentional. It was just really close quarter stuff. And so now here's that tricky Billy Mitchell, turn 13. There used to be that bridge, but you still have that completely blind turn in. And you know, at first the corner looks tighter than it is, so you have your natural mindset is turn in a little late, square it up a little bit, and then you're just slow at the exit. You realize they've left so much room on the exit of the track, so you just start eking your way to a little earlier turn in, and you find out you drive it like a sweeper. And right now, Giancarlo Schooler, speaking of sweeping, looking to do that around the outside. Burkhardt is going to fight him off as best he can, but now Burkhardt's going to have that little tighter run, and Schooler that little freer run with that wider arc through the turn. But now it's a braking duel, and I think Morgan smartly done right there. He could have lunged.
He could have lunged there as they head up onto the back straightaway under the Sargento Bridge. And this is where the chess match starts to happen. Schooler went the long way around at turn 1, Greg, but now Rice Puto looks for third on Hibbett. And Wozencroft, Salyer coming back into this fight, and they will not be able to split themselves out. It is going to be 4, 5, 6, 7 cars, however many you can get in a pack together, they will be at the front of this field. And up into turn 6.
This is such a, you talked about how tricky this corner is, and obviously it's completely blind going in, so you've got to really start doing things almost on muscle memory and hope you got it right. But look at this pack. It is absolutely incredible right now. Top 11 essentially, with that little bit of room between Rice Puto and Wozencroft. Big moment in the back and a significant off.
Yeah, that's Sally Mott in the 950, and that there is big-time damage to the front of that car, and I think she had some help going back here. Contact was that Lampy, I think, that got into the back of her. Tegan Greenfield goes for a wild ride around the outside, but just tagged Sally, and that will likely take her out. She'll join Jeremy Fletcher and Jordan Rick-Sagrini. Not a great showing for some of the real-world drivers in the opening laps of this one.
Yeah, a bit of a struggle, isn't it? You would think that they might be able to be dealing with that a little bit, but this is a very unique and different thing. And speaking of this, look at this: 2 rows, 2 abreast, deep into Canada corner, and Schooler uses that outside run once again, and Rice Puto nose ahead on Hibbett. Will he be able to keep it? I think so, because he's going to have it here unless Hibbett's able to stay with him through the exit of Billy Mitchell. He can't, and that should change or let Rice Puto lock it in here.
Yeah, and he has into 3rd place. All about this run onto the front straightaway, though, and that hill as well. Speaking from experience, these cars don't love to accelerate up this. This is a big push. Gilliland is side by side with Salyer in the background. He wants P7, and he's got some assistance from Beans Forster in the number 23.
And that's part of the thing here. You've talked about it so often that because of the long straights here, that if you're not quite right on speed and you draft well, you can make it work. And this is certainly getting pretty fascinating here, isn't it?
And look at this mess. The 173 of Salyer's off in the gravel at the exit of turn 1. That's pavement now, but not here in iRacing. He kicks some gravel up, and here comes Gill into the inside.
Just love watching young Andrew run here. Just doesn't waste opportunities. He's got Beans Forrester right there on his 6 right now. Beans incredibly experienced, obviously. And now Tucker's going to have to do some serious recovery here after that wide run. But, you know, he certainly has shown the pace to be able to do that. So fingers crossed for him.
Into turn 5 now. Late on the brakes is Rice Puto. This is for second place. And if he can squeeze by here, this is going to bury Morgan a little deeper than I think he wants to be. We've talked a lot about being second or third, but if he gets shuffled back too much more, I think Morgan's going to have to get those elbows out. You don't want to be 4th or 5th. It gets really hard to make your way forward once everyone gets past you up front there.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, though, because he ran that really wide arc through 5, and Rice Puto was pinched a little bit to the inside with that move, Morgan actually was able to hang on to second, and Hibbett was able to sneak through because he ran that wider arc as well. And, you know, these cars, especially on a long, fast track like this, it's all momentum. And if you pinch your exit from a corner by starting with a tighter turn in and you've got somebody on your outside, you just start scrubbing a little bit. And these cars don't have the horsepower to just overcome that quickly. And so for Rice Puto, trying for second drops to 4th.
Into the kink here. That's such a scary corner, even in a Spec Miata, Greg. I've never taken it faster than about 95 miles an hour. That is enough for me. It is so fast through there. And I did it in the rain once too, and that was enough of a Tucker factor.
Well, I'll tell you, the fastest car I've ever driven at Road America was an ITA Honda CRX back in the day. And it happened to be the car that held the track record. So it was about as fast as an ITA car could go. And you could go through the kink flat, but you'd get this, you know, almost this sort of waffle. I don't have a better way to put it, where, you know, it was like a sideways pogo. And you were actually slower at the exit than if you just lifted right when you turned in to plant the nose. And, you know, so there's little tricks you could do here. And Morgan Burkhardt is trying that same deal. He's got the outside here, and he wants to try and pinch Giancarlo on the exit now of 1. And of course, Camden Hibbett is going to try and go right with him and try and double dip here. Let's see what happens here. I think Morgan's got it covered because he's got that nose ahead.
Yeah, I think the other thing to note is that front end damage is going to cost you a lot more here. We've heard drivers talk about how sensitive the new damage model is on the aerodynamics of these cars. So you can't bump draft too aggressively, Greg, or that can really hurt. You only lose a mile an hour or 2, but that is a critical amount of miles an hour at a track like this. We should also point out Deacon Greenfield 30th to 14th.
Yeah, what a drive he's putting on. And there's that really cool new livery. And his STL entry that he's going to run at the runoffs, it's mirroring that. Different type of car that he'll be running there. But he's just decided to pay a little homage, honoring his first ever visit at the runoffs. And what a charge he has put on. We've been watching him, and you know, throughout the seasons, he's really coming alive a little bit. It's fun to see here as Tucker Salyer, after that off, has worked his way right back up into 6th.
Necchiani and Salyer trading spots there, and now Rice Puto and Hello. This is for 4th. Here comes Eric. This is a really strong run. You pointed it out earlier. Got his elbows out and looking for P4, and he will take it away in turn 8.
Wow, what an absolutely superb run that he's put on here. As you said, started 11th and, you know, dropped to 12th, and then now up and knocking on the door of a potential top 5 with Rice Puto and Andrew Gilliland doing the job too. The two Andrews, 6th and 7th, and Andrew has fought his way up a few spots from where he qualified as well. So this is just fascinating. And up at the sharp end here, there's that Burkhardt Schooler Hibbett mix, and then about a second gap back to Haywo in the bunch. But, you know, the minute those guys at front start scrapping, that's going to change. And speaking of scrapping, here comes Rice Puto with a potential shove from Gilliland.
This is wild stuff here for 2nd place and for 4th. They're side by side. This is what Road America is all about. It's a drag race to the corners and then a race through the corners once you get there. It's wide enough, it's fast enough, and it's game on here at the front of the field.
what's the old saying? It's a few drag strips connected by some twisty stuff.
Yeah, well, it simplifies it a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah. Did you see that defensive moment for Eric Haywo? He sensed Gilliland coming after him, and so he went to turn in a little early, and that forced him to over-brake, and it slowed everybody. Ooh, we got a contact there in the back, the 960, or the 950. No, check it. That's Bob Mueller. The 960 was involved. I don't know the number of that white car.
Yes, this was behind the group that had Court in it here. There's the 960. That's Bob Mueller, as you pointed out. Joshua Clatterbuck is. Ooh, there was a crash ahead of him with Court in it. And bam.
And it was the number 70 that was involved. That's Al Ducharme that went airborne, and then that's what happened with these two.
Yeah, I think something broke on that left front suspension, shot him to the left, and that was game over there. 8.5 minutes to go, and the front 9 or 10 or so are pretty much line astern here.
Yeah, they've closed it right back down again, as you would imagine, and with this drafting. And, the minute, we saw that Bryce Puto taking a look, or Giancarlo, or those guys up front taking any kind of a look and getting alongside, the guys behind can just reel him in once again. And look at this, big defensive move by Morgan. And look at this. This is going to be Giancarlo's going to try that outside move. Morgan exits way wide and puts his car right where Giancarlo was going. I thought for a minute Camden might take a shot up the inside, but everybody lets it settle. But this race has flown by, Kyle. We only have 7.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, it's flying by right now. But the front runners have more or less, been the same drivers in this mix. So I'm curious to see if anyone from that secondary group from, I guess that's Hello on back, can really scrap up at the front. Skip Brock Jr., Beans Forster, we know they're both capable of winning races, and they're so close. So when does the fuse light up front that opens the opportunity for that trailing group to mix it up?
Well, look at what Giancarlo Schooler's doing there. He ran that really wide line through the carousel so that he could do exactly this. Get a little squared up on the exit, get a run to the inside, brave stuff into the kink.
Wow.
Burkhardt has no option but to give him space. But at the same time, Giancarlo cannot run wide, and that's where he had to pinch that exit, and Burkhardt nosing ahead. But now Hibbett decides to give Giancarlo a little bit of help here, and they are side by side, 2 rows deep, into Canada corner, through Canada corner, still carrying that side by side.
This is what it's all about. It's like Talladega on a road course with these cars, and Burkhardt pulls almost clear of Schooler, keeps the door open. Schooler's got a big grin on his face as he's battling the leader.
Well, how could you not? I mean, this is just such awesome stuff here. And, the question is, looking back, did that allow Haywo and the gang to join? Look at that. It sure did. Just that little bit of messing with your momentum, running those vastly different lines. We now have a massive pack, 9 deep, going for the lead. Speaking of going for the lead, this is a big, big push here by Giancarlo. Technically at the line, he was already up front, getting a big shove by Nicholas Rice Puto. And now way down to the inside, we got him 3 abreast at turn in. That was Camden Hibbett, and suddenly Burkhardt first to 4th, and maybe losing more ground.
Yeah, Hello was on top of Burkhardt there. He wanted the inside. Burkhardt swung back on the racetrack and was able to slot in ahead of the 16. Gilliland and Skip Brock Jr. are now side by side for 6th place. And down this long back straightaway, it's 4 seconds back to Nick Yanni and Tucker Salyer, so they would just like to pick up the scraps of whatever happens up at the front here.
Look at Beans down to the inside here of the blue and yellow car of Skip Brock, trying to get something done here down into turn 5, the end of the Moraine sweep, dropping downhill abruptly, hard, heavy braking in a very tricky brake zone. And then you figure, all right, I've got that done. And then one of the trickiest braking zones in North America. Look at this, Rice Puto sticking to the outside.
And then what? You get to turn 7, and there's still, that's another tricky corner. It's hard to run
Yes,
side by side. And it's flat out in a Spec MX-5, but you don't have a lot of grip left at the limit there. Maybe a little contact here. It's going to give Schooler an advantage. Hibbett slots through to 2nd.
And did you see how Morgan drove that entry into 8? At the last second, he went super wide, dove down underneath, hoping to get up and alongside, and he did get it up a bit on the alongside of Rice Puto, but Rice Puto just had a little bit too much speed. But that's that racecraft of Morgan. If we get a calm moment, I'd love to see that once again, because that's how, in a pack like this, as Gilliland gets run out, he saves it. And that was a brilliant recovery by doing the exact right thing, which is pretty much nothing.
Yeah, that's a really easy corner to overcorrect. It's interesting how the scary wall's on the left, you'd think, but all the contacts are on the right from drivers trying to pull the car back on the racetrack or stepping out too far. There's Skip Brock Jr. just touching the gravel trap here. 4 minutes left means 2 laps in this race remaining. And here comes Gilliland back on Skip Brock. He wasn't waiting around.
No, he wasted no time at all. And just decided, all right, I'm going to have to do roll some serious speed here, and has picked up that 8th spot once again. And taking advantage of that, Andrew Wozencroft, who last lap was 9th, is now 7th in that primarily red car that is just coming into view, with the bottom half of it being yellow. What a season he is having, and now he's going for more, looking to the outside of Beans Forster as we get a look at Andrew in the office here. Look how wide he is. Beans trying to draft, and Andrew just trying to get the best arc into the turn that he possibly can. And Haywo says, well, I'm going to negate that.
And all the while, they've lost a little bit of ground to the front runners. Contact in trouble for Andrew Gilliland. He's in the gravel. And just as we pulled away from that, I think there might have been a touch or two.
Let's take a look, see what happened. There is that. Yeah, just a touch, and Skip Brock saved it. Andrew just couldn't.
I think he's got a cut tire down the left rear as well. Damaged suspension. That will end his night, unfortunately. Yeah, it just happens. I mean, this is the full contact sport that Spec Miata racing sometimes can be. And the drivers in the pits now, that have returned to the racetrack is over half a dozen. Look at the lunge from Burkhardt into 5.
And now this is where Hibbett has got to hold his lane, force Morgan to tighten up, and he couldn't get that done. And it's so wide over there that it's really easy to be able to hold position and pinch that guy just a little bit. But Morgan just turned in with so much speed that he was able to sneak through. So now all over the back of Giancarlo Schooler, and Giancarlo has been on the wheel here in this first race of 2 this evening. Scrapping going on elsewhere. That's Deacon Greer.
Around the carousel now, Schooler, Burkhardt, Hibbett, Rice Puto, Haywo, your top 5 here. Haywo's starting to close back in. He's broken free of Forster and Wozencroft and is closing back in on those front 4. And next time by, Greg, will be 1 lap to go. 4 miles left.
And it is still that big scrum.
Here they go, side by side down the back straightaway, coming to Canada corner, 2x2 for the race lead. Ooh, this is dicey.
Well, that's the way to start it off, and then get it done before that last lap begins. See where you can go. And Morgan gave it a go, but I'll tell you, Giancarlo has nothing to lose here, and he is going to race you incredibly hard. And here comes Rice Puto looking for position on the inside. And look at Haywo as that group has caught him again. We've got him almost for an instant there, 3 abreast on the turn-in. And Haywo, I think, is going to get a tremendous run up this hill.
Yeah, he's going to get a good run, but it's only if Beans Forster helps him along. He's popped out to the right and up at the flag stand. The white flag signifies 1 lap to go, but that's a long distance around Road America.
It is 4 miles, and so much can happen. And now we've got at least, it's a 7-car group at this point. Back to that car of Andrew Wozencroft. Here we go, turn 1. Big lunge for an instant there from Beans. Decided better of it, just wasn't quite close enough. And this is a corner that's crucial. Downhill braking, but you can really roll some speed. You get the compression right at the apex, and you better be working right, because this is one of the longest, fastest sections of track called the Moraine Sweep.
And through the Moraine Sweep, now under that famous Sargento Bridge, it is going to be a chess match here. And I think a lot of this chess match isn't going to be resolved until turn 12, but Morgan Burkhardt would like to try his bets at turn 5, late on the brakes in the number 40. He wants the lead.
And Rice Puto coming down as well, looking to the inside. Look at that counter move by Schooler, and Morgan hit that big bump, lost a little momentum, and Giancarlo Schooler has the nose on the inside, so he's going to stay there. And
into turn 7. Dicey here between second and third. Morgan Burkhardt leads the way. Hibbett back to the right, Greg. They're heading down towards turn 7.
Boy, almost a little touch there. Hibbett swerved to avoid it, but now Giancarlo Schooler is got plans here down in turn 8 to mess up Camden Hibbett. Hibbett having none of it. That was absolutely perfect by Hibbett in keeping Schooler pinned to the inside a little bit. Cost him that little bit of momentum. And now, but look at Schooler outside around the carousel. This is really, really brave stuff. And look at the grin. He said he's thinking, I just pulled something off here. And if he can lead into the kink, but here comes Burkhardt side by side through the kink. But Burkhardt gives him the space. And now, where does Hibbett go? He looks at Schooler, looks back at Burkhardt, and they're heading down into Canada Corner.
One final time into turn 12. Last big braking opportunity. Look at Hemo in the grass. 3 wide, way deep into turn 12. They somehow don't collide, and Hemo's through to third place.
What a move by Haywo, and look at this, Schooler. He's going to have the inside line here into Billy Mitchell into 13, and now he's got to drift over as Haywo. They are still 3 wide coming out of 13. Haywo, Rice Puto, they're leaning on each other, and Rice Puto leans back, and Haywo has to make the save, but the run up the hill, who is it going to be? Giancarlo Schooler got the exit, but suddenly Kyle runs way, way wide. Is he going to pull it off? And did somebody just blow him over? There it is in pit lane. But at the line,
Schooler got him by 96 thousandths of a second and a car length. Giancarlo Schooler steals one from Burkhardt with Calamity behind, and Eric Hewo does not make the finish after having a spectacular run at the end. He got tangled, he blinked out, and when he rejoined, was right in the middle, kind of got shuffled off track, got turned around, and Greg, unfortunately, he will not finish this race, but Schooler and Burkhardt and Hibbett, your top 3.
Yeah, what a battle. Oh, man, Road America just always delivers and in an incredible setting. But, yeah, heads up to Eric Haywo. What a race he put in. And you hate it when it's a little internet thing that creates some problems. I truly do feel for him. And what a drive he put on, though.
Yeah, unbelievable drive there, and I think he'll get a chance to do it again. He'll just have to start from a little bit further back if he can navigate the opening few moments. Here's a look at the race results from race 1. Schooler, Burkhardt, Hibbett, Rice Puto, and Andrew Wozencroft in a top 5 spot. Really nicely done.
Yeah, Andrew, we just talked about just how strong he has become this season. Then Beans, Tucker Sallier, that was a great fight back after that off that he had. Coming back up, sneaking around on Skip Brock after that little bump. And then Yanni, and then Hayden Manis, he came from pretty deep in the field. Hayden did to a top 10. That was a great drive.
Yeah, that was a nice job there for Hayden Manis in the number 65. Looking down, Elliott Burton, Jim Friedhofer, Dylan Lee. Just outside the top 10, Ethan Lampy, I don't even remember where he started. He finished 16th after starting 12th, so backwards a little bit. But he was as low as 35th. Remember, he was involved in one of those early collisions, so had to spend most of his day climbing back forward. Josh Soto, 20th place. He would have liked a little better than that, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And, Deacon did a nice job, too, from where he started coming up to where he finished here. So give him a shout out for that 14th place. But then you take a look back here, and, Sally Mott, there's Eric, who's got some serious work to do. Gilliland as well. All these guys, Fletcher, Trace, so quick. And they should put on a show if they don't get involved in something in the opening lap of race 2 here. They should be a blast to watch coming through the field.
Yeah, there's the tail end of the field there. Olivier Piatek, Jordan Riggs-Segrini. They would like
the fastest.
They'll like a second go, and they're going to get one, fortunately. But wow, what a race in race 1. They didn't leave a lot of downtime, and I don't anticipate race 2 will be that way either.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's just, usually the pattern is the second race is even more intense. And so we'll see how that plays out. And the interesting thing is, obviously Morgan is going to be at the runoffs, but not in Spec Miata. I think he's back in his Spec Racer Ford, the SRF3 car. But, there are lots of others that are pushing hard for it here. And this is their last opportunity before they go to the track in real world. And I love that shot you just had there for a second. But, yeah, just look at this stuff. So fierce.
Yeah, it was pretty spicy here, but I want to go back a little bit further along here and head all the way back up to the checkers. Look at this move that the 16 had off into turn 12. He just sees the door open and gets there. There's a little bit of grass, but he muscled his way through. And then what's going to happen here is he's going to lose some connectivity here, right there. And when he comes back, they're going to be 3 across, and that's when things start to get weird because they're Rice Pudo, they're tangled together.
Yeah, they're almost morphed together.
Yep, and then it's just really hard to get unstuck. And then here's Beans in the 23 up the inside. And then 16 comes off the curbing. I think Wozencroft goes in the middle there, and they just get squeezed.
Oh. Wow, after a drive like that, but it happens. And I don't know, while we're in this break here, if there's a way to go back and take a look. I think it was two laps from the end going down into turn 8 with Morgan.
Let's see if I can find that. Let's see if it's not this lap. This is lap 5.
Yeah, he was actually behind. He was like 2nd or 3rd.
I can't remember what
when
lap
he made the
that
move.
Would have been on. Well, we got a minute. Let's zoom around here a little bit. We've got time.
Yeah, it was such a great adjustment he made, and darn near pulled it off. Yeah, watch this. I think this might be it. Look at everybody kind of protecting into 8. And then he swings way out. Look at how he squared it. And look how much he accelerated and actually got up alongside Rice Pudo. But Rice Pudo sensed it coming and kind of shifted. But just look at that rotation and look at that run.
Yeah, beautifully executed there, and that's why Morgan is so good at what he does.
Yeah, he is extraordinary. And what I love about him too is he's an open book, and he has no problem telling you what he does, what his tricks are, all that, because he said, I'm here to win, but I also want other people to be competitive and have fun and have more people to race with. And there's a look at the 3-time champ.
Got his Hyundai shirt on, and was competing at Indianapolis last weekend in the Michelin Pilot Challenge.
You gotta love it, right? He's a big pro guy now, and he still comes and races full send sims.
Yeah, and I've heard, I didn't get a chance to watch that race, but I did hear that he got a little help around by a GS car. Those darn things. Multi-class racing, you're going to have that sometimes.
There it is.
But,
hey, traffic giveth, traffic taketh away.
Sure does. Minute and a half till we get gridded up here for the second go. And Andrew Gilland, another driver I think, is looking forward to a second chance. He had such a good run in that first race. And he's really starting to stitch it together, much like we've seen with the 80. Things are looking up for him.
Absolutely. He got a podium. I think that was at the first time we ever went to Willow. And he just drove a brilliant race and was so pumped about it. And just watching, and one of the things that impresses me is that he was just elated at off the hook. But when he has an off race like this, he and Skip Brock just had that touch and cut a tire. He doesn't let it phase him. He just comes right back, and that's a really good sign. I've said it before. Sometimes for a driver, one of the best things you can have is a short memory. And you just that last race is history. What do I have to do moving forward here? And that's really what it's at. I know we're going to be a little compressed on the back side of things here, so I do want to remind people real quick. Our next round, next Tuesday night, is coming from Lime Rock Park. And you and I were just there for Grid Life and the Legends Festival. And what an immense weekend of racing that was, Kyle. And Lime Rock in these cars in this series has always been fantastic. I just want to let everybody know that this Thursday night is one of our open practices, the group practice at Lime Rock. If you need a little more time there, aren't too familiar with it, whatever. And there are always coaches hanging around that will help you out. It's just not a full-on Racecraft Academy. But keep that in mind if you're going to be racing Lime Rock with us next Tuesday.
Yeah, Lime Rock Park, one of my favorite places in the country, right? It almost feels like Road America in the way it has the same aura, but just tiny. And so you can see all of it.
Exactly.
It's a great place.
It's like Road America's little brother.
Yeah, it is great. Another track that I think belongs in that category is Blackhawk Farms Raceway. Have you ever been there?
I agree. Oh, I held the track record there for a couple of years in my class.
Stupid question to ask Greg Kramer, I suppose. But no, I mean, that place has a mini Road America vibe as well. But
yeah. Doesn't have the elevation, but it has the feel. You're absolutely right. And I got to tell you, I mean, when I was corner working as well as racing, Road America all over the place, and my most enjoyable memories of the most fun I've had is Blackhawk. that was just a really fun place. So, and it's a fun little racetrack.
Yeah, great place. I've had a chance to drive there too. Not a track record by any stretch, but it was the first time I'd ever taken the FRS on track. But
oh yeah, okay.
And
just real quick here, not to cut you off there, but we raced at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca a couple of weeks ago. Grid Life is there this weekend, and the full stream's going to be happening. So if you haven't seen Grid Life at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, and you can't get out there, if you're from the California Monterey area, come on out. But if you can't, watch the stream, because those cars down through the corkscrew and at that glorious track, pretty darn cool, especially when they drift at Laguna Seca.
Got a 40-car GLTC field.
Ooh,
which
awesome.
Is better than last year, and we have
a lot of locals too.
Mostly locals, actually.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting one to watch as the field rolls off. Starting lineup is on the left-hand side of your screen now, and we won't roll through the entire thing. It's the finishing order from race 1, but I think notables on there. Nick Yanni up into 9th. I think he impressed us. Wozencroft, we'll see what he can do on his second go.
Well, and I also think Manis is, a guy to watch, because he started way deep and fought his way up into a top 10. So I think, keep an eye on him. And then, of course, Piatek and Rick Zagrini from the two farthest back spots, and they're two of the fastest drivers. And if they can, save and get clean through these first few corners, then they...
Up onto the back straightaway here, and a couple cars will not join the grid for the second race. Noah Jackson, Jordan Rick Zagrini will sit this one out, unfortunately. Greg?
I hate to hear that. And I just want to let everybody know, if I'm sounding a little weird, cut off on moments, I'm having a little internet issue here that is popping up every once in a while. It clears pretty quickly, but that's why. So apologies for that, and I'm still all in here.
Yeah, yeah. Just you got to give up mid-sentence, Greg. We don't.
That's it. And I'm done.
Yep. No, it happens. I mean, trust me. I moved because my internet wasn't good enough. So I mean, we haven't had this problem until lately, but I had to shut down SimTV effectively for a year because I didn't have internet that could host a stream for more than an hour and a half without having problems, and it comes around now and then. But
yeah, it does.
Another look at the weather.
Boy,
here.
Look at John, and as you do, look at Giancarlo lagging way back from his pole position here. That track temp is staying nice and chill, isn't it?
85 degrees Fahrenheit, not so bad. Just under 70 in the air. Nice, cool fall weather. A little bit of a breeze, too, 11.5 miles an hour. We're just getting to the point in the year now where the mornings are getting crisp up here in the Midwest. And I was up at 6:30 this morning. It was a little damp out there as well. You can smell the leaves. It's starting to get your spooky on here as you hit October here in a couple days.
Yeah, fall is upon us. And I'll tell you, every competitor at the runoffs next weekend, and the actual racing is the following weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But boy, would they like to have this kind of weather that week.
Yeah, I wish I could make that event this year. I can't, unfortunately, but...
Yeah, we got to get you involved in that race call, brother.
I really hope so. Just as soon as it doesn't clash, I'm all in.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, and it is literally one of my top 2 events that I announce that I've ever announced. So that's how much I love the runoffs, because it's racing at its purest. You know what I mean? For the most part, and no aero on a lot of the classes. It's just mechanical grip and driver skill. And to me, that's the magic of it. Like we have here.
It's like a week of racing too. It's a lot going on. You definitely don't get bored when you're there.
No, not at all.
So
all right,
they are laying back,
making its little escape here.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're laying back that far, to be honest. But again, it might be something to do with the pace car's pit lane entry, because pit road is so slow. There are times that if you pass the pace car before it enters pit lane, which is pretty far up the road here, you can get yourself a penalty. So I think they're trying to potentially avoid that.
That may be why Giancarlo is laying back a little bit. Now, boy, he's starting to roll into it pretty aggressively.
Yeah, going to bunch everybody up here, I think, too.
All right, there's the dive. And you're supposed to maintain the same speed until the green comes out. And there's that long run up to the top of the hill. Giancarlo nosing ahead, Morgan backing off. Late green, but it is. We're racing, and here comes Hayden Mattis. And I knew he was going to be excited about doing something here. But let's see, Burkhardt with Rice Puto behind him is going to try and do something around the outside, and you know Giancarlo is going to go deep into turn one. Yeah, there's a lot of movement in the back there, wasn't it? But so far,
gosh, so tight through turn one. We made it this time, though. Now, can we get through three? Another braking zone. Burkhardt, Schooler, Rice Puto side by each here.
And this time, Burkhardt outside, just able to roll more speed right down through the apex, and that gets in front of Giancarlo Schooler. But now here comes that long drafting run all the way down the Moraine sweep. Look at Wozencroft, another great start hanging right in there. And look, here comes Deacon Greenfield. After coming from deep in the pack in the first race, now starting mid-pack, he's got opportunity. Well, better than mid-pack, he's got opportunity here.
Yeah, moving up. He moved up a lot of positions in that first race, but he's under fire here by Seth Spolman. Little contact from Friedhofer. Little pushing and shoving him. We're 3 wide for the lead here into turn 6.
Oh, this is awesome. And Rice Puto on the inside, but Giancarlo's got that outside line. Runs a little wide, though. And that brings Morgan right back into it. And now Rice Puto, it's really tricky to go side by side through there. And Morgan really, really generous there, giving him plenty of room. No, it's too early. Oh no, problem in the back for the 125 of Sawyer Richards. Pretty much made it through almost a quarter of a lap.
Camden Hibbett to the inside of Rice Puto. They made a little contact leaving turn 8. We'll get it sorted back now. At least still side by side, and now the 0-3 tucks in line. Wozencroft in that 80 has been phenomenal tonight. These are all picking positions, positions for the picking.
Yes. And right now, Beans working the back of Wozencroft, although Wozencroft gets through the kink really well. It creates a little bit of a gap there. And I'm really interested to see here, after starting so far back in that first race, Ethan Lampy, see what he's going to be able to do. Watch Rice Puto here, looking to the inside, and not enough to be able to get through on Burkhardt. Look at this pack streaming, a little touch there. That was Spolman and Soto, I think, having a tap. Yep.
Yeah, just a little touch there, but they all keep it straight. Run up through Billy Mitchell was troublesome a couple of times in the first race. There's Elliott Burton, who I think we saw. Oh man, Sally Mott and Friedhofer, horrific crash leaving Billy Mitchell.
Oh man, that was absolute violent on his roof is Friedhofer, but what happened here?
Get tangled and up and over. Wow.
It looked like the car on the inside, I think it was Friedhofer there, got that curb a little bit, and it just sort of walked the car to the right a little bit, and that's when they touched. Giancarlo, he's enjoying running at the front here at Road America, isn't he? Wanted to get there early and did. Here comes Camden, though, trying a late braking move, and Rice Puto shutting the door really aggressively, and Camden doing a nice job of seeing what was coming and just dipping the brake enough so there wasn't contact. But that's going to look at the opportunity behind here.
Yeah, it's going to open the door for a couple of drivers, but they're all kind of line astern at the moment. Means Forster, Wozencroft, even Lampy up into 9th place. That 159 will be dangerous if he can carve through this field. Hard on the brakes here into 5.
Yeah, I'm waiting for him, and he's up, yeah, as you said, to 9th, so he's got opportunity. And Eric Haywo is already up into 15th as well. And so these guys, they're showing some serious pace here. But boy, there's Morgan, gets to that front, immediately gets that little bit of a gap. It's probably not going to last very long, as long as everybody behind him just plays the draft game a little bit. But look at this pack that we have, right? That's 11 cars, essentially, covered by the proverbial blanket. Then a little gap to Josh Soto, who has put on a superb drive through the field.
Dylan Lee also, we didn't really talk a lot about him in the first race, but up to 10th place, started 13th in this one. Bright pink car, always easy to spot in traffic at least.
That he is. And especially now that Jose's not running the Barbie car, it's easier to pick Dylan out.
It does help.
And right in front is the man we were just talking about, Ethan Lampy. Look at this. He's got a shot here. He's right on the 6 at Nick Yanni, and I'm kind of waiting to see if he's going to pop out here. Look at this side again. 2 rows side by side into Canada. But that was how quick that little bit of a lead Morgan had absolutely evaporated. Look at Wozencroft down to the inside of Rice Puto. That door's shut in a hurry, and he's trying to defend, and that for a minute there allowed Beans to maybe get a little run. And right behind him is Hayden Manis. Hooked up Hayden tonight.
Yeah, Hayden's looking really good there. Ethan Lampe's up to 8th. Every position he climbs, he gets a little bit more dangerous. There's still plenty of time in this race for him to move his way forward. And now he can be more calculated. Sometimes in the back you kind of get flaily with your moves because you're just trying to pick your way through traffic. But now it's calculated decision-making for Lampe, and here he comes to the inside of Manis.
Yeah, nice run. Just drafted him to perfection. You can see, you know, the draft, it gives you that momentum, but it's not massive. Now he's got to make sure he doesn't, you know, go in too deep and get into the side of anybody. And Camden Hibbett thinking the same thing on Morgan for just a minute there. And now look at Rice Budo coming up around the outside, trying to do something. He's going to run that little more of an angular arc, trying to get more acceleration out. But a nice job there by Camden, putting his car right where Rice Budo wanted to go. Oh, background, is that Skip Brock?
Elliot Burton and Skip Brock tangled, yep.
Yeah. Ooh, bunch of cars.
Yeah, a few others in the background, but they just come together at the apex there and grind to a halt.
Daft Punk into Brock there.
Oh, boy.
Ooh, grind there, too. Look at the back of Hayden's car. He has been roughed up.
And these guys are just relentless at the front of the field. Through turn 6, Burkhardt, Schooler, Rice Budo. I mean, you just pick them out of a coffee can at this point.
And I'm going to ask you, Kyle, is it the nature of this track? You know these long tracks. You know, Sebring that we were just at, we saw the same thing. Where in the past we've seen these guys just run line astern, just try and make the break, don't race anybody too early. And as of late, and certainly here, it's like a couple laps in, it's like gloves off. We're going to go for it here. I mean, it's awesome to watch, but it's just different than some of the racing we've seen.
I think the contributing factor to me is how much more competitive it's gotten at the front of the field, right? It might have been 3 or 4 guys before, and their goal was just to break away from everybody, but it's not possible to break away now. Unless something really goes wrong second on back, you're kind of stuck in this lead pack. So you might as well shuffle around and race because you're not going to drive away. So what difference does it make to play for the lead?
Yeah, and especially, if you think you've got a really quick car that, you can get to the front, control it, then they're going to draft back by you. Somebody's going to make a move, but in the end, if you stay close, one of the things that allows you to do is practice moves you might want to use on that last lap, too. See what works somewhere. So it's all part of that high-speed game of chess I alluded to at the very top of the show. And that's what the game is afoot here. And here comes Camden Hibbett, trying to get a little run on Rice Budo, and he gets maybe a little gift because the top 2, Giancarlo Schooler and Morgan Burkhardt, drift over.
Oof.
It might be giving him a 2. Whoa, was that close?
You see Manis, he tried to cover off Lampe, and he was not having any of that. 12 minutes to go, and they're 2 wide for first and for third.
Watch what Lampe is. He going to do a pop here and get down to the inside? Thought about it, and no. But look at this. Side by side by side by side through turn number. Well, look at that's added 3rd row to that side by side. Look at Wozencroft out to the outside. Looking to get the run here, square up. Ooh! But that's what happens. You get off position a little bit, and just that quick, somebody dives to the inside.
Beans slid through there, took 5th place away from Wozencroft. Crash back straight away and back across the road. And Wozencroft's great run is going to come to an end. He's got major suspension damage there. And that was just cars running out of space.
Was that Lampe here?
Yeah.
And I wonder actually if it was maybe Hayden just touched Wozencroft. Let's watch here. Everything looks good. No, that was there.
Yeah, I think he just tried to cheat over a little bit, push him to the side, and Lampe just held his line there, and he's got more damage than I think he'd care to have right now, but it's still a battle at the front of the field.
Well, that it is, and here we go. This is just phenomenal. Down into turn 8, Giancarlo Schooler, who's led a large chunk of this, is now struggling to hang on to 3rd, and I think Camden, with that run through 8, has got position, is going to take that back. Oh, now Hayden Manis, was that a wreck or just a spin?
Let's find out. I think he got down to the inside of Beans there, a little hip and shoulder, and he just spun there.
Yeah. All right, so flat spotted the tires, but get back after it here. Meanwhile, these two And how much would it mean right now for our former champ, Nicholas Rice-Puto, who's had the arms up, the elbows out, really been racy, but just has not had the other good fortune to be able to pull out a win here. That'd mean a lot to him, I think.
I think so. I mean, it's so hard to win, and I said how much more the experience at the front has ramped up, and it's just, and Morgan has said it, three-time champion, didn't win it last time out. It just gets harder and harder and harder every season, and that he welcomes that. He's definitely one to welcome the battle, but Morgan has never once moved over and let anyone take anything from him on purpose. They have to go up there and get it. And now we've got how many cars in this group? We used to have just 1 or 2, and now it's 10, 12?
10, yeah. Well, and I mean, talk about, here comes Nicholas Rice-Puto, and Camden's going with him. But Josh Soto has fought his way up into 7th. Greenfield is 10th. Haywo is 11th. Piatek is 12th. Gilliland 13th. These guys, what great drives they're doing from deep in the field. But let's see what happens here. Look at that. Rice-Puto down to the inside of Morgan.
Wow. Look at that
now
cover.
Hibbett looking to split the gap here.
That was great read by Rice-Puto. He came off of turn 1, knew he wouldn't have speed, so he just pulled right to cover it. Not a block. He moved before the 132 did, but he had to get that moved on quickly.
Yeah, now look at this. You got Morgan, who had that wider run through 3, but getting a little help. And look at Camden. He had a double draft there. He's got a huge head of steam. And that outside line through 5, if he can maintain that. But look at Morgan getting a big shove from Giancarlo Schooler. We could have him 3 abreast into 5. We do. There's a touch. Rice-Puto saves it somehow, but he wobbles wide. Burkhardt cuts back down underneath. And Beans Forster in the opportunity zone here thought about being able to jump into a spot for 3rd. Look at this. We're side by side, 2 rows deep through 6. You just don't do that, Kyle.
Cars through the grass down into turn 8 here.
And if my eyes don't deceive me, we've got traffic that could play a role because we've still got 7.5 minutes of this race to go.
Into the carousel now, and this is such a fun corner, sweeping out, tucking in late, setting up for this back straightaway. It is a chess match just in this one corner alone.
It really is. It really is. Goes on forever, falls away down to the apex. I mean, and look at Soto. He has just put in a storming drive. Now up into 5th as Giancarlo Schooler slipped to 6th. Then Ethan Lampy, Dylan Lee, Yanni, and Greenfield complete our pack here. And once again, Rice-Puto, with that little bit of a push from Camden Hibbett, goes down to the inside, has position, and nobody really there to be much help to Morgan right now, so Morgan just kind of has to give it up. And then look at that. That was Nicholas Rice-Puto showing his savvy. He knew that Morgan was going to kind of square up the exit of Canada a little bit. He exited and immediately moved to the right, and that was right where Morgan was taking aim. So Rice-Puto showing his racecraft skills here too.
Up onto the front straightaway. This should be 3 to go this time. 6 minutes, 25 seconds. So that is 12 miles worth of racing to go. There's a lot that can happen in the next 12 feet.
That is so true. And look at it, out on an island by himself there. The 77 of Soto as Morgan got the toe that pops to the outside. He's got a nice head of steam built up. He should maybe be able to turn in pretty comfortably here unless Hibbett gives Rice-Puto a massive push. It does not. So Morgan comes slicing across here. I'll tell you, the fastest guy on the track at the last few laps by far has been Soto. He's been running over half a second quicker than anyone else out there.
Last time by a 2:45.094, and that, as you're right, that is a couple of seconds quicker. You know what's interesting, Greg? How much they've been battling? They're 4 seconds, 3.3 seconds off of their best lap. That's how much they're giving up time battling right now.
Yep, and you just saw that little wide run coming through the exit of 3 by Soto, and it cost him that momentum. He was all over the back of this lead group. And look now, watch Camden trying to square up, get underneath Rice-Puto, but being able to use all of that exit curve makes that really, really difficult to do because the track essentially is super wide. But here comes Soto with Lampy now coming up on the outside, trying to make a move. You talked about it. The further up Ethan gets, the more dangerous he becomes in terms of being a player for the win here. And right behind them, what a race by Dylan Lee and Nick Yanni.
And Deacon Greenfield's up to 10th place. We documented his drive and slicing and dicing in that STL liveried car.
Love this shot. You can see how long the carousel is. It drops, starts to fall away, and then there's your apex. You don't have to be on it all the time. And then flattens out. You can you get that little bit of grip, and then here's the setup for the kink. Look at this.
It is a thing of beauty at speed, isn't it?
It is. It is. And it's one of those pieces of track where you just have to forget that wall that's about 8 feet away sits there.
Yeah, I think
that.
Aaron Lichty once told me that you hear the walls here before you see them sometimes. You can't look at them because if you look at them, you'll hit them, but you hear them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're close enough that you just get wind buffeted off of them partly. That's a big thing. Now look at Hibbett coming live here with a couple laps to go. You said 2 to go this time, right?
It will be 2 to go. Yeah, 3:45 left. Just about 2 laps remaining here in this race.
So Hibbett has just kind of eked his way forward here now, up into second. Burkhardt leads it in the red number 40, then Camden Hibbett in the black-white car, then the gray car of Rice Budo, then the black-white-red entry with those 2 goofy faces on the back of Beans Forrester in 4th. And then a little gap now has kind of formed.
Yeah, a little bit back to Giancarlo Schooler, but he's still within striking distance. The challenge he's going to have is just making sure he doesn't get tangled up with Lampe and Soto. Those drivers are very aggressive. They've got a lot of pace left in them. You just don't want to get tangled up when your focus is going to be ahead here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you've talked about it so much. Oh, Hayden Manis broken the left front corner.
Some assistance here from
T and Haywo.
And they tried to bump draft, but that bumper is not. That's a hard hit.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't bump draft in the corners. That just really doesn't. We're looking now, Rice Budo going way wide. Look at the arc. Now, if he pitches a little bit, not quite enough.
Oh, here we go. 3 wide, Greg. This is game on here at the front. Oh, contact. The 0-3 gets shuffled.
That was Beans, and Morgan comes out wide, but comes right back on the track and manages to hang on to the lead. And that whole exchange resulted, the only part was Beans now in 3rd, Rice Budo 4th, but Giancarlo coming up, and then Lampe. So that was a 4-car train, now it's 6. And Dylan Lee not too far, but not long ago, remember Josh Soto was 5th, he's now 7th, or excuse me, 8th.
Yeah, he's gotten shuffled around. It's just the nature of the beast here in the closing moments. Like, just you got this puzzle all assembled, and then Toddler comes in and smashes it on the ground. Reassemble. You thought you had your plan figured out. It's Road America, Greg. Of course we can't have that.
Well, of course not. Now, here's the thing. Question for you. Where do you want to be coming out of 14 at the end of this lap?
Coming out of 14, I want to be at the start-finish line is where I want to be in turn 14. I don't want to be there at all. Where do you – there's no safe place here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just – do you want to be leading, 3rd, 2nd? It's who knows, because it's just so much that can unfold in such a hurry here. And remember, we're starting the second half of the season, and Camden came in here 6 points in the lead over Morgan. And Morgan had a pretty solid first race, finishing, I think, right behind Giancarlo Schooler. So now it's a matter of, can Camden get through on Burkhardt? White flag is out, 1 to go. Dylan Lee way to the outside here. Now, here comes Camden with a shove by Beans. And this might be just enough to get Camden to be able to turn in front, but Morgan goes in mega deep, Kyle.
Yeah, he's just using all the power that he's learned. Look at Giancarlo Schooler to the inside of Rice Budo. Rice Budo slammed the door. He'll have to wait on it here. And this is when this chess match begins again. But Burkhardt is late on the brakes. He steals the lead back, but now he's on defense and everything's in the mirror.
Yep, and this is going to be interesting because Burkhardt's favorite way to run 5 is that ultra wide line, way to the right. But right now, he's all by his own down to the inside, although Beans is coming up. Now Rice Budo thinks about it, but look at Camden Hibbett. Oh, and Rice-Puto! He's going to make it. Look at that move. Now can he get it slowed down? Yeah, no.
No, not even close. Here comes Schooler, though, up to third place around the outside of Forster. And Ethan Lampy, I told you that neon car was going to be in the picture by the end of this race, and he might have a chance to pick his way through.
He's got a shot here, that's for sure. And look at this, that side-by-side, Schooler and Forster. Ooh, the touch. Everything settles okay. All right, turn 8. Another downhill braking zone. No mistakes through here. Everybody looking pretty solid. I don't know. Oh, look at this! Outside line by Camden. And I don't know that that's going to work. Giancarlo Schooler pulled that off beautifully earlier. Oh, look at Camden. He got to run, and here comes Beans. And if Beans can give him that little bit of a push and keep him on the outside through the kink.
Oh, they're off. They're all off the course.
Whoa, 3, 4 of them off. Soto!
Wow.
How did he not hit that inside wall?
I cannot believe it. Pin the throttle and see if it sticks. Burkhardt, Hibbett, Schooler. Here comes the 110 on the brakes.
Hibbett just looking for any opportunity here, but it's Schooler who technically noses ahead. Here comes Hibbett right back at it. And now 13. One more corner to go. What can Hibbett do? You know that Morgan's going to be protecting. Here we go. It's going to be a drag race.
Oh.
And that might have given it to Morgan as soon as Beans came down the inside of Schooler. Schooler had an opportunity. Look at this. Schooler shoving him right off the track.
And he's not going to get there. Burkhardt, Greg.
No. It's Burkhardt over Camden Hibbett at the line. Giancarlo third, Ethan Lampy right there in fourth. And then rounding out your top 5 is Beans. But I really think that had Giancarlo gone with Camden, they may have had enough momentum to get Camden ahead, but didn't work out that way. Here comes some of the other battling. That's been good throughout the field, as always.
Yeah, Elliott Burton, Clatterbuck, Bob Mueller Jr., they were kind of tangled up in wrecks in the previous race. They'll get to finish. That finish never really formulated the way that we expected it might, but Burkhardt will pick up a win, and this is, you know, your same top 3, just kind of shuffled in a different way. I think Rice-Puto might have had podium the last time out, Hibbett up onto it, but great race again. I mean, game on.
It was. And man, you know, like I said, the top 2 came in, Morgan Burkhardt and Camden Hibbett, with Camden leading by 6 points. And it's going to be even closer now. And Giancarlo, you know, we talked about the wild card, the interloper there. And Giancarlo, with that win in the first race and third in the second race, he used, you know, took some pretty valuable points here from some of the players. But boy, some great drives there. Josh Soto from way back into 5th. Deacon Greenfield from way back into the top 10 as well. And Dylan Lee, man, is he on form.
Yeah, nice couple of top 10s for Nick Yanni there in the 28. Great on debut here. And really, Ethan Lampy is the driver, I think, that made up so many spots tonight. Started at the tail of the field, made his way through both races, and job well done there. Eric Haywo rebounds for an 11th. I think he'll take that. I think he would have liked to have done a little better, though.
Well, he certainly showed the speed to be able to do a little bit better, but sometimes that's just not what the racing gods have in store for you here. Sallier, really impressive in 12th. Burton, Clatterback, and Mueller, your top 15. Guetta, Spolman, Macari, Buttermore, and Sawyer Richards complete your top 20.
Al Ducharme, Jim Friedhofer, Trace Hance, Sally Mott down towards the bottom of the order here in the low 20s. Olivier Piatek, a night to forget for him, and Andrew Gilliland never got to rebound. Andrew Wozencroft, what a great night. That doesn't end on a high note for the 80.
No, but man, in that first race, did he show us some stuff. I was so impressed. That great top 5 finish in that first race. He's letting us know what he's capable of. But you get these big fields, and you know that little thing happens, and then you're back in the pack, and then the big thing happens. It's unfortunate, but that's part of the racing game, isn't it?
Yeah. Wow, what a battle tonight. We've got a couple of drivers to chat to, and let's not waste any more moments. Let's chat with Nicholas Rice-Puto. Whoa, hello.
Hello.
Wow, exciting race, I'm sure, but...
I wasn't expected to get grabbed. What's going on?
I wanted to just talk you through P4 tonight in race 1, P7 in race 2, but you were in the mix all night long. I just want to hear your thoughts on tonight's racing because it was wild, as you exclaimed.
It was a Hail Mary at the end there, but I missed and lost a lot of positions. But it was a fun race. I think we had the pace to win it for sure. So, but yeah, I'm sure it was fun to watch.
Well, you certainly showed great speed, and yeah, that move down into 5. But, we were actually on board, looking backward, and then suddenly you just popped to the inside, and I think both Kyle and I came right out of our chairs. And I even said, can you get it woe down? And then no. But, man, was it an exciting move. And you're just bringing it this year. I know, your finishes aren't where you want. But, man, it has been so fun to watch you race.
I appreciate it, guys. I can't wait to watch that.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it, bud.
All right, you guys have a good one.
You too. Good one. And let's talk now with Giancarlo Schooler in the number 110, who came home in 3rd place in race number 2, but won the first race of the night. Giancarlo, good to have you back battling up there in the mix. It was a fun race to watch. Take us through your perspective tonight.
Yeah, both races were super good, super tight racing, super clean. Hats off to both Morgan and Camden. Very respectful guys, love to see it from Camden at such a young age. His racecraft is truly remarkable, and Morgan's in a seat every other weekend, so, expect it from him, but hats off to both of them. It's super easy to have a good race with guys like those.
All right, Giancarlo, I'm going to ask the question here. And, that win in the first race, obviously, another podium. But we happen to have you squared up in your on camera here as you made that outside pass around the carousel. And the grin on your face was huge. You must have known I just pulled something off pretty special here.
Yeah, it was a great move. I'm not sure it would have been possible without Morgan's help. I think he was playing the long-term game there. I think both Morgan and Camden are fighting for a championship here. I'm just here having fun. So, but yeah, it was a great move, and to stick that, it was a good one.
Yeah, it was absolutely spectacular, and well done, bud. And come back and stay with us a lot more often. We so love having you with us and watching you race.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks.
All right.
And let's talk with Camden Hibbett in the number 132 car tonight. 2nd place in race number 2, 3rd place in race number 1. And Camden, tonight was as good of a battle as any at Road America, but things got really spicy there. 2, 3. We saw some 4 wide at some points. Drivers pushing through the grass. It is just aggressive out there. What was it like from your perspective tonight?
Chaos. That's my that's the one word. No, I mean it was like you said, there was cars kind of everywhere, and I was just trying to hang on and survive. Tonight was a points night for me. Road America is such a free-for-all. You really have to get lucky most of the time to win a race here, and luck wasn't necessarily. I just couldn't make my way up through the pack. And typically at Road America, when you can't do that, you're just you need to be clear of the mess going into Canada Corner, and I just couldn't get there in the first race. And then in the second race, I expected Morgan to park a little bit more in 14, and he didn't, and rolled a normal line, and I just didn't have quite the run coming up the hill. But no, it was some interesting racing tonight for sure.
Yeah, it absolutely was. And, we're kicking off the second half of the season. You come in here with drops and everything factored right now. You came in 6 points clear of Morgan, and that's going to be even tighter. You guys are absolutely dead set on making this another thriller right to the end, aren't you?
Yeah, I think with Morgan being here, I think he's gonna miss two weeks. I'm missing 2 weeks over the season, so we're gonna be even on number of races. We're not gonna have any drops, so it's gonna be interesting. I don't know who's leading the points right now, but I know I will miss next week for the runoffs. I think Morgan will miss next week as well for runoffs. So It's gonna be interesting to see how it unfolds the rest of the season. I wouldn't be surprised if we're right around even right now. Morgan probably got the lead after this week with a second and a win, but I think we have 4 or 5 weeks left, so still plenty of time to go and plenty of racing. Some good tracks for me coming up: Mid-Ohio, Road Atlanta. So I'm excited.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Giancarlo showing some serious pace tonight and mixing it up with you guys. That was just great racing. What a blast to call, and I'm sure everybody watching on YouTube enjoyed the heck out of that. Thanks so much, Camden.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Camden. And Morgan Burkhardt gets it done in race number 2, and things never really panned out for the field as they were chasing you coming to the checkers there. They weren't able to assemble the army in time to catch you. You win it by 1/10 of a second, get back on top, but you've said in the past how this series continues to get better and better and more aggressive, and there was 10 drivers in that lead pack that I think could have stole it tonight. What was it like from your perspective out your windshield?
It was safe. I'll say that to start with. I felt really, really good about race number 2. But yeah, it is absolutely wild to run in these races. I mean, talk about not necessarily like aggression every lap. It's all like everybody's trying to get to the front. It's like a revolving door, and trying to plan when the door is going to revolve so that you can be in the right spot at the right time is incredibly difficult. It's so much fun to just be on your toes all the time. And if you're not on your toes, somebody's going through, and then all of a sudden you're, instead of 4th, you're 9th. So it is just amazing playing the draft. I think we've had the most draft experience at this track in this car yet, so you could really use the draft to your advantage, which was really nice. And yeah, it's probably planned really well that it's right before the runoffs when we go to Road America. So we had a pretty good turnout for that, which is just awesome.
Yeah, and I think that was absolutely, of course, part of the plan. You've mentioned it before that, compared to the first year, 2023, the field has just gotten so much more deep in terms of talent at the sharp end. We were talking about it during this broadcast. It used to be 3 or 4 of you guys would kind of break away in battle, and now it's 10, 12 of you guys that are going after it for the whole time. And that's just made this so exciting. But I have to say, Camden made the comment, and this is what I love about watching you race, is that Camden, based on what you've done before, said, I thought he was going to park it a little bit more in 14. So he said, I set up for that, and then you just ran a normal line and just drove away up the hill. You looking in your mirrors and watching him make an adjustment and going, all right, I'm not going to defend here, I'm just going to go. I'm just curious.
Pretty much. I mean, it's like we talked about at Barber, where we know each other so well that we can read each other like a book. So I just changed the book, right? So I knew he's gonna think I'm gonna park because I do that every single time. Why don't I just not park and watch him just get smaller in the mirror when I go up the hill with a better run? And it ended up working. I played, as a guess, it was a 50-50 shot and ended up working out well. But it's one of those things, and Road America is one of those huge tracks where the mind games almost matters more than your physical pace, because I think the field spread in qualifying was like 1.3 seconds, something like that. A lot of that is a draft, but it's 10 cars for the lead pack, and everybody's dice and everybody's got a shot at it. And it's one of those things, like you said earlier, with the revolving door, you got to plan your moves right. In a race 2, I kind of figured out that if you can stay in the lead and stay in the lead, you have a really good shot at controlling what happens. Like you see right here, I mean, going down through the kettle bottoms into Canada Corner, really controlling what people can do, what kind of options you got, which lanes you can go down, and only giving you the one that I want you to have.
Yeah. It's like I said, top of the show, this place is maybe the ultimate high-speed chess match. And we got to wrap it up, but I just wanted to say 2 laps from the end in that race, that square-up move you made in turn 8 was just superb. We were having fun going back and replaying that and watching it, Morgan. And we have to I think you're not going to be here next week because you'll be at the runoff, so got to tell you good luck, man.
I appreciate that, and I hope maybe that night of the qualifying I'll be able to find a sim and come out here and play again, but we'll see.
No, we hope you do, that's for sure. Kyle?
Alrighty then.
Thanks, Morgan. And Greg, what an unbelievable night here at Road America. This place does not disappoint. I always look forward to coming to this place, but from the biggest of tracks to the smallest, we've got lots coming up on the calendar.
Yeah, Lime Rock next up, next Tuesday night. Obviously, some of the regulars might not be able to make it. Again, a reminder, if you need a little bit more time, practice, experience, whatever at Lime Rock, you've got the group practice this Thursday night. So check that out. All you got to do is go to fullsendsims.com. Speaking of Full Send Sims, Court, thank you for everything Full Send Sims does in the real world with using these amazing sims as tools, but also for making this fabulous series possible. And practice makes podium. Again, we've just got to say so much about 3P Logistics. Been with us since the very beginning. Absolutely phenomenal group, and work very often in partnership with Final Turn Motorsports in the real world, and are pairing up and working together with us here as well. And then, of course, Wine Country Motorsports has been with us for a bit as well. Best customer service in the business if you need racing safety gear, because they answer the phone when internet friends don't. And Farah, too, just a big thank you to them for coming on board this season as well. Farah, a great series, Florida-based, but expanding next year. Keep your eye out for that. And with that, Kyle, we are going to wrap things up here. Once again, a reminder, it'll be Lime Rock next Tuesday night for Kyle and for Finney and DeCuna. Again, doing just a brilliant job with the cameras. I'm Greg Creamer. It's been a treat, as always, to be here at America's National Park of Speed. Can't wait to next week show you around the bull ring of road racing.